This is the brand new Lenovo Legion Slim 5. It's a 14-inch gaming laptop, the very first 14-inch gaming laptop in the Legion lineup. And they were able to create something that looks identical to the bigger model. And all you're getting is a smaller version of it that weighs significantly lighter. I love the fact that they were able to maintain similar build quality. Like, you press on this thing, it's not as bouncy as other laptops I've reviewed. The top lid is made out of aluminum, same with the bottom. And then you have all the lights on the back that light up to indicate where the port is or when you have something plugged in. It just weighs under 4 pounds, so it's very light, and which makes it a good option if you travel a lot. In terms of ports, you have your USB Type-C ports on the left-hand side. This one supports power delivery, so if you have a 140-watt charger, this thing will charge to about 70% in just 30 minutes. Another Type-C port, none of these are USB 4.0. And then on the left or the right-hand side, you have your SD card slot, your kill switch for your webcam, combo audio jack, and then on the back, you have 2 more USB-A ports, your power connector, which comes with a 170-watt power brick, and then your HDMI 2.1 port. It's a well-built laptop. Like, I love the extended lip at the top where the webcam is housed. It just makes opening up the laptop easier. Just like the bigger Legion Slim, you can pretty much lie this almost flat. Some people like to do this if they want to stick their display under their monitor so that they can use the keyboard on the laptop without the display getting in the way. But look, this is a very good keyboard. It's such a clicky keyboard. There's nice travel distance to it. It feels like a proper gaming keyboard, but also very comfortable to type on. Now, unfortunately, because this is a 14-inch laptop, they weren't able to cram in a numpad. Quite frankly, I'm okay with that. I don't want a numpad on a 14-inch notebook. It's just gonna make everything a bit too small. But you do get a nice big glass touchpad at the bottom. And look, it feels great to use. You have your vents at the top. These are not speakers. Then you have an RGB light around the power button. And depending on what performance profile you're on, it might be a different color. So right now it's on auto. And then if I hit it again, it goes on quiet mode. And then if I hit it again, it will go on to performance mode, but the laptop has to be plugged in. As for sticker placement, they're quite crooked. The guy thought it was Sticker Palooza, a crazy festival that happens once a year, got really drunk the night before, came in and tried his best to line them up, but he's completely failed. In terms of the display, this is probably the highlight feature of this laptop. Now, most gaming laptops typically have a matte display or an IPS panel. This one's OLED. Like, this is a beautiful, gorgeous OLED display. 2880 by 1800. It's 16 by 10. It's 120 hertz. Dark, deep blacks. Like, gaming on this looks absolutely gorgeous. The color accuracy is pretty good. The color gamut is fantastic. And the screen brightness gets up to about 400 nits, so it's not like the brightest display, but it's definitely above average. Now, there is some reflection because it is a glossy panel, so that's to be expected, but you do get a 1080p webcam at the top. So this is what the webcam looks like. It is a 1080p webcam. You guys let me know how it looks, and most importantly, how the microphone sounds. Now, I'm so glad they went with an AMD processor in this guy because it's a 14-inch notebook, so you want the best battery life possible. And this specific SKU is using the Ryzen 7 7840HS processor. It's paired with 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, and then of course you have that NVIDIA RTX 4060, which runs at 105 watts. And then you have a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. I don't know the price of this. I have no idea, but I know it comes out in October, and here in North America, it's gonna be a Best Buy exclusive. But look, the performance is fantastic. I mean, you run Cinebench R24 on this, it lines up with other competing notebooks. There's no difference there. Same with the multi-core speeds and obviously the GPU speeds too. I don't know what these GPU speeds mean yet for Cinebench. I need more data to come in, but out of all the RTX 4060 laptops I've tested, it's exactly where I should be. Now, if you are buying this and you plan on doing any sort of productivity, it runs great. You know, Mozilla Firefox, it performed very well. If you're planning on using any sort of video creation app like Adobe Premiere Pro, it's going to be doing well in that too. And the same holds true for Photoshop. But I imagine most of you buying this are buying this for gaming. And I will say right off the bat, a 3K display is probably overkill for this RTX 4060. 120 hertz is fine, For this GPU, I would have loved 144 or 165, but it's fine. I feel like with most modern games that are graphically intensive, you're probably going to drop the screen resolution to like 1920 by 1200 just to get higher FPS. Obviously, if you're playing older titles that are very well optimized, you can take advantage of the full resolution, but I feel like for most games, you're going to be dropping it. Now, there's 2 speakers on the bottom of the laptop, and we're not going to talk about it because they're just not that great. Fan noise is interesting because they do kick on when it's under load, but it takes a while to get there. And yes, it goes into the 50s, high 50s if you're pushing this thing to its full potential, but I imagine with most gaming and not using Prime 95, the fans will sit lower. Obviously, like most laptops these days, if you want a quiet experience, you can put on the quiet profile and then the fans won't be loud at all. But what is loud is the GPU temperature. I was shocked to see that the temperatures on this GPU would hit almost 100 degrees Celsius. That's a little bit too toasty for my liking. Now granted, this is using Prime 95, which completely just maxes out everything. Doesn't get that high when you're doing normal things like gaming, but it's definitely a hotter laptop compared to its competitors. When it comes to average core clock speeds, it beats out any Intel processor. It sticks in the 4000s, whereas most Intel processors that, compared to this, sit in the lower 3000s. The weird thing though is that this is supposed to be a 105 watt TGP, at least that's what the GPU is supposed to be, but I can only get 100 watts exactly. So I don't know, I think it's fine. Like most 4060s, regardless of whether they're 100 watts or 120 watts, pretty much run at the same performance. Now the internals are interesting. You have 2 fans, a lot of copper running back and forth, even though it does get a bit hot. You have 2 slots to upgrade your drives. One is populated and it does get good read and write speeds. And the second one is available if you want more storage, something that the Blade 14 and G14 doesn't have. You have a swappable Wi-Fi card, and then you have a big 76 watt-hour battery. I actually got really good battery life with this, over 8 hours of use before needing to charge. The only downfall with this configuration is RAM is soldered onto the motherboard. You can only have up to 32 gigabytes of RAM. And this is the mistake that Razer made when they first released the Blade 14, and it looks like Lenovo's making it too. So here's the thing, I actually really like this laptop. The only thing that's kind of holding it back is the CPU, which gets a little bit hot, but then again, most 14-inch notebooks do these days. And then you have a soldered memory situation. But I think with this laptop, it's gonna sit somewhere between the G14 and Blade 14 in terms of price. And it really comes down to your budget. If they can price this below or equal to the RTX 4060 version of the G14, then a lot of people might forget that it has soldered memory and pick this thing up instead, because I do find the build quality to be better than what the G14 offers. It's just a better, well-made laptop. It's not perfect, but it's a good first attempt for a 14-inch gaming laptop from Lenovo. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.